Is something that you're actually passionate about hurting you? Well, hello again. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm back again with another video. So I'm like, why I don't talk about this? Because why not? So I'm actually been reading. Okay, last year I actually finally read the book The Betters. I think it was the last book that I actually read last year, and I feel like it was necessary for me to read that book because I've been guided to read it, so I've been postponing to read it. And actually I got that book, it was 2019, but I had a lot of books that I actually wanted to read, which I was grateful that I actually did, but I would keep on postponing this one. But now I understand why I keep on postponing, because it made a lot of sense. And the author, of the book, mentioned that the reason why they wrote that book was because they want people to stop doubting themselves, to change their life. There was a purpose of the author, or even more. Just that something that I actually saw in the book, I think, outside or whatsoever. Yes, the purpose of the book was to make you change the way you think, probably some confirmation about something that you always felt or whatever. For me, it felt like that. It felt like a fucking confirmation. Like, oh fuck, the aha, those aha moment. It was a book that is actually like that. It was a book that my soul needed. So I'm actually reading another book that I actually started reading in 2018, but because I didn't own the book, now I'm actually reading Travel the Road That Is, huh? But the road, the road that is real, something like that is really travel, or the road less travel. Yes, the road less travel. That book, I actually come across it. It was 2018, but at that time I was a student, and so I couldn't read it. And besides, I was not the owner of the book, so I usually to go to a nearby cafe where you can drink coffee at the same time, you can read books. So I came across that book. I was going through something, so I ended up reading probably 2 chapters, and then it was it, because I had to focus on a school work and whatsoever. So I needed something that is refreshing at that time. So I'm just not gonna talk about that book, but I'm actually gonna talk about The Betters, um where I actually felt like, I don't know exactly which page or whatsoever, which page was it, but where I'm actually talking about. Okay, this video is more about, is something that we're actually passionate about hating you in any manner? Yes. Okay, I'm just gonna talk about with this thing that society put on us, that when you want to be a entrepreneur, when you want to be self-employed, when you want to be whatever that you're actually passionate about, whether it's a music or music, art, whatever. So but I'm gonna speak more about unconventional ways, or in terms of career. So when you're doing unconventional career, because in your head you know that you actually want a career, uh, that you love. As much as you love, it doesn't mean just because you love it, it doesn't come with pain in it. When I'm talking about pain in it, when you're doing something that you're actually passionate about, it's not always gonna be easy. It's not always gonna be easy, because you are growing. Something what you're passionate about, it will allow you to grow. It will allow you to read. Probably, you don't know, you've been having this certain skills when you have this gift, and this gift, in order for you to make it grow, in order for you to draw on it, to what the word, in order for you to be the best in whatever craft that you're actually passionate about. What you're gonna need, you actually need what? You actually need skills. You need to develop yourself in it. So it will push you to study whatever, whether it's a short course, whether it's a new book, probably even sometimes, because people who are guiding us in a spiritual realm, they use a lot of things to guide us, even trees. Like, you feel drawn to go to that forest, you feel drawn to hiking, you feel drawn to, and then in that hiking you find some wisdom, you find some wisdom in that book. You find wisdom in whatever that you feel drawn to watch. You feel drawn to go somewhere that we never went to, and then you feel like now you end up having some new perspective, you know. So whatever it is you're actually doing, we're passionate about, it doesn't mean just because you're passionate about it's gonna come easy. It doesn't mean that it's not gonna come with effort. It needs a lot of effort, it needs a lot of patience. It's just like you're raising a kid. When you're an entrepreneur, you're actually raising a kid. When you're raising a kid, just because you've been doing it for a month, it doesn't mean it's ready. No, it's not ready yet. Just like a kid, as I mentioned, it's just like a kid. When you're growing a fetus in his stomach as a woman, or yes, because yes, most babies come from women, right? So yes, it's not just something, it's a process, it's a long process, 9 months, and then that 9 months there's also another phase that you actually, a kid that has to go through. Your business is like that. So when you feel like I'm passionate about it and now it's taking a lot of from me and whatsoever, why don't you take a break in order for you to reflect? Because at the end of the day, well, even if you're doing something that you're passionate about, it doesn't mean you should ignore yourself. You should ignore your needs as a human being. You should ignore self-love, because you actually need to love yourself when you're doing something that you're surely passionate about, because you need to go through that, you know. So I'm talking about all of those kind of things that are actually passionate about. Oh, the best, I don't know exactly which pages, but where the author mentioned that don't be it's more like sucked in this reality that something that you're actually passionate about, it was always gonna give you the ha ha ha, the hoo moment. I'm not saying exactly the word that she or he used. I don't know whether or there's a he or she. So when you be like, don't be consumed by the fact that uh something you're passionate about is not something that is gonna come. It, you shouldn't be in the element where you feel like, I don't know how to put this, but she mentioned something like, wow. You know what? I'm just gonna put it in my own way. Don't be consumed by that great, like, the happiness of it, thinking that the path to whatever that you're actually passionate. Just for example, you want to be an author. You don't know, you're not always gonna be inspired to write. You're not always gonna feel like your content is something that you actually like. You feel like this kind of book that I'm actually writing, it's not aligned anymore. Sometimes you're gonna stretch that part, feel like, you know what, this is something that I'm not aligned anymore, and then because it need a lot of time, need a lot of patience. So sometimes books take years to write. So although you saying, it took me 3 years, it took me 1 year to write this, it took me 2 years, you know, it's a process. So anything that is actually a process, your entrepreneurship, it's a process. So just because you are passionate about it doesn't mean gonna come easy. Because recently, or few months back, Doja Cat came up talking about her uh talking about the unpleasant side of her career, where she mentioned that um, she's not happy with this and this and this. She wish she can stay longer currently with her kid, do video games, which is something that she, in the past, she thought music is something that she's a hobby. She didn't know that she gonna blow up just like that. Yes, she wanted to be a musician, but she didn't know that her blowing up, it will need responsibility, and that responsibility, now she's faced with it. She's had to accept it because her career is booming. Her career is demanding the new version of her. Her career is demanding a lot from her, you know. It just does not just require the old Doja Cat. It does not require, because she's very talented. She has to level up. She has to level up because every project that she has done. Even like, I'm not that much into her music, but I do listen, because the last album, the Planet Hair, it was wow. Like the whole album was like wow. Like I was like, it was a splendid project. It was one of the projects. I'm like, it's the first time I'm actually enjoying the whole album. in hip hop. Yes, I do, like, to the point that I actually go back and back and back and back and back. Wow. Like, because sometimes you end up selecting the certain song that you actually resonate with. So I'm talking about Doja Cat, because she's a public figure. She's someone that is well known for her talent, for her effort in whatever she does. I feel like she got this perfectionist vibe. She got this, she's hungry, like she's ambitious, you know. So yes, just because you're passionate about something, it doesn't mean it has no responsibility. Entrepreneurship has a responsibility. The responsibility is self-development that is actually required. It's you being disciplined, you being uh, a lot of devotion that is actually needed, because there's no way you can associate something without devotion, dedication, time, giving it time. When you don't love something, you don't give it time, right? So when you feel like whatever that you're actually doing, probably your music is not booming, just give yourself time, you know. Just give it time. Just don't rush uh to put up your content just because you feel like you've been out of it. Probably music wise, you feel like you've been, the last time you had an album, it was 5 years ago. Okay, it was 5 years ago. Yes, maybe you feel like it's been a while. Just take time, you know. Because recently I've been interested in interior designing. Like, initially my response to it, okay, maybe I won't do it as a career, but I'm actually interested. I just want to learn about interior designing. Initially I was that person like, yo, there's no way I can have that kind of talent. My colors are dull, nobody's gonna like my style, or nobody, oh, it need mathematics, oh, I'm not mathematical genius, you know. And I've read this book where this part was actually something that I need to hear, where he mentioned that if you feel like you don't have time for something that you're actually passionate about, you don't love it. Just stop lying to yourself that you actually love it, because you can do anything that you actually put your mind in. So when you making excuses like, oh, I don't have time, it's time and this and that, no, anything that you're actually passionate about, just stop wanting it to happen sooner. It will take time because you need to dedicate yourself. Because I remember, like, a lot of time when I feel like I won't give up, because I never gave myself time into it. Once I give myself time, because there's something that I'm actually learning, a skill that I'm actually learning. Initially I was like, there's no way I can do that, like, and now I'm like, wow, you know. So sometimes we limit ourselves with things that we tell ourselves, so stop doing that to you, you know. So yes, I'm just gonna talk about, is something that you're actually passionate about hurting you, maybe it's time to watch this video. So thank you guys for liking, for subscribing, and watching my content. I really really appreciate that, and I'm actually grateful for the support that you're actually giving me. So if you feel like my content is someone can get help from, please don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to subscribe, and also refer other people who feel like they need this, you know. So thank you guys again